right, let's talk about something that causes a ton of stress for so many businesses: inventory ordering. We're going to show you how to take that whole process from, a chaotic guessing game into a clear, data-driven system. This is going to let you focus on what really, truly matters. Let's dive in.
So, does this sound familiar? You're staring in a spreadsheet, you're looking at the shelves, you're trying to use that gut feel to decide what to order and how much. Man, if that's you, you know that anxiety of, did I order too much? Or, way worse, did I not order enough? Well, you are in the right place. We are here to help you move from the left side of the slide over to the right, to go from a process that's manual, reactive, and let's be honest, just plain stressful, to one that is systematic, actually driven by data, and lets you be strategic. It's a total game changer, and it frees you up to think so much bigger. So, here's our game plan. We'll start with the problem, then introduce a really simple solution using a dashboard analogy. We'll break down the two key numbers you need, your warning light and your full tank, then show you how to actually calculate your order. And finally, look at the huge payoff at the end.
The real problem with just ordering based on gut feel is that it is so inconsistent and wildly inefficient. It leads to constant firefighting, right? You're rushing orders because you suddenly ran out of something important, or you're tying up a bunch of cash and products that just aren't moving. There is a much, much better way.
So the solution, and I love this, is to think about your inventory just like your car's dashboard. You don't guess when you need gas, right? You look at the fuel gauge. We're going to build a simple two-part dashboard for every single one of your products that tells you exactly when to act and what to do.
Okay, so the first dial on our dashboard is the reorder point, or ROP. This is literally your low fuel warning light. As soon as your stock level hits this number, ding! A light goes on telling you it's time to place a new order. It's the simple trigger that tells you when to act. And then you've got the second piece, the order up to level, or OUTL. Now, if the ROP is your warning light, the OUTL is the full tank line on your gauge. It tells you exactly how much you need to fill her up. This number is all about determining how much you should order.
Okay, so how do we actually set that warning light? What goes into figuring out the exact level where we need to reorder? Let's break down the two simple components that make up your reorder point. It's easier than you think. All right, component number one. It all comes down to a really simple question. How much of this stuff do you think you're going to sell between the moment you place an order and the moment that order actually shows up at your door? All you need to figure that out is your sales forecast and your supplier's lead time.
And the second piece, this is your safety stock. Seriously, think of this as your insurance policy against, life. What happens if a delivery is late? Or what if you get a surprise spike in demand? Safety stock is what protects you from running out, and that makes it an absolutely non-negotiable part of this equation. So let's see how this actually works. It's super simple. In this example, let's say you expect to sell 50 units while you're waiting for the new delivery to arrive, and you keep an extra 15 units on hand as a buffer. You just add them up. Boom, your reorder point, your warning light, is 65 units. When your stock drops to 65, it is time to order. Simple as that. All right, so the warning light is flashing. We know it's time to order. But how much? For that, we need to calculate our full tank level, the order up to level. This number is our target inventory for after the new order arrives. Let's see how it's calculated. Now, this is a really key point, so lean in here. The reason the OTL is always a bigger number than the ROP is because it's designed to cover more time. It doesn't just cover your lead time and safety stock. It also covers all the demand you'll have until your next scheduled ordering day. It's about covering the whole cycle. And here's how the math shakes out. We take our daily demand, say 10 units a day, and we multiply it by the total time we need to cover. So that's 5 days for the delivery lead time, a day and a half's worth of safety stock, plus the 7 days until our next ordering cycle. That gives us a full tank level of 135 units. That is our target. Okay, we did it. We have our two magic numbers, our ROP of 65 and our OUTL of 135. We have our dashboard. Now, let's use it to calculate an actual order, and you'll see how simple and repeatable this process is. So from now on, every time you sit down to do your ordering, it's just this simple 3-step process. Step 1, know where you stand. What's your current inventory? Step 2, make a decision. Is that number below your warning light, the ROP? And step 3, if the answer is yes, do some simple math to figure out what you need. And really, this right here, this is the heart of the whole system. It's a dead simple if-then decision. If your inventory is greater than your reorder point, you do nothing. You're good. Come back next time. But if your inventory is at or below that ROP, The system triggers the action, place an order. No more guessing. And once you get that green light to order, the calculation itself couldn't be easier. You just take your full tank level, your OUTL, and you subtract whatever inventory you have on hand right now. That result is your suggested order quantity. It's the exact amount you need to get right back up to full.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. That all sounds great in a perfect world, right? But we all know the real world has complications. What happens when your perfect, system-calculated order doesn't quite match what your supplier requires? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, this happens all the time. Look at that first example. Our system says, hey, you should order 90 units. But the supplier has a minimum order quantity, an MOQ, of 100. So what do? We have to round up and order 100. But in the second case, our suggested order of 120 is already above the minimum, so we just order what the system says. The system gives you the ideal number, and then you, the human, make the final smart adjustment. So what's the big payoff here? What does all this really get you? Does this system replace the inventory planner? No way, not at all. It elevates them. It completely transforms the role from someone who just crunches numbers to someone who can truly manage strategically. Think about it. Instead of being buried in spreadsheets all day doing manual calculations, the planner can now focus on the really high-value work. They can manage by exception, they can work with the sales team to make sure forecasts are accurate, they can build better relationships with suppliers, and they can make smart, strategic overrides for things like promotions or new product launches. And this quote from an extract of the Inventory Mentors Fundamentals course, it just sums it all up perfectly. The entire point of a structured system like this is to make the routine parts of ordering efficient so that the smart, creative people on your team can focus on the tasks that actually add value. So that brings us to the final question for you. This system is about so much more than just better ordering. It's about trading in that daily guesswork for real strategy. It's the difference between being a reactive calculator and a proactive strategist. So are you ready to make that upgrade?